pitch. Swung on and missed a perfect game.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone. In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened. Fernando Valenzuela has pitched a no-hitter.
Thank you, Clinching. This is a no-hitter.
It is gone. It is a walk-off home run for Justin Turner. It's over. Muncy, a walk-off home run. This is way back. Walk 'em off. Chris Taylor.
The Dodgers are one win away from the World Series. Dave Roberts spoke to the media today. What did he say about Freddie Freeman, the Dodgers pitching plan, Will Smith? We got lots to talk about here on a little Dodgers dugout after dark.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
Welcome to Dodger Stadium.
Dodgers win.
This is the golden age of Dodger baseball.
It's a double for Freddie.
They're going to make big signings. They're going to make impact trades. This is the most anticipated season in Dodgers history.
Dodgers have won it all in 2020.
Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
What is up, Dodgers Nation, and welcome to Dodgers Dugout Live. My name is Doug McKain, credentialed member of Dodgers Media. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. Thanks for joining us, 10-12 on the West Coast. I was maybe going to take the day off, but no, I couldn't resist because we got to talk some Dodger baseball. Watching the Yankees close out the Guardians, they took care of business. They punched their ticket to the World Series. Juan Soto, big-time 3-run shot there to put the Yankees on top late, and we could see if the Dodgers win one of the next 2 games. Hopefully they get it done in Game 6. I'm going to tell you why tomorrow really is a must-win for the Dodgers. Just imagine what this would do for baseball to see the Dodgers versus the Yankees in the World Series. I don't want to wrap my head around it. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Of course, job not finished. You got to have that mindset and close the deal. But the most important thing is being the other team from New York, the team from Flushing, Queens, that now has confidence. They have some momentum, and they have their best starter on the mound in Game 6 in Sean Manaea. We're going to talk about Game 6 in a second, but we're going to also kind of revisit and circle back to what happened in Game 5. But first, let me hear your comments. Let me hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts right now? Give me a vibe check, Dodgers Nation. How you feeling right now heading into Game 6? Are you confident? Do you like where this team is at? Do you feel a little nervous? Let me know down below. We got a Brian Diaz. Damn, late night show. What up, Brian Diaz? When we think about it, this is kind of the time of some of the shows during the regular season, right? When you have a 7 o'clock start, kind of a later time. But, yeah, we got some stuff to talk about from Dave's press conference today and what that could mean for Game 6. D-Mac from IACHE 8700, D-Mac La Flama Blanca. BC, if they don't win Game 6, they don't deserve to go to the World Series. That's a very, very hot take. It's a very hot take from you, BC. I respectfully disagree on that one. I'll give you a fire take. It's a hot take. But I do respectfully disagree. You go to the World Series when you consider the fact this is a Dodgers team with a depleted bullpen. This is a Dodgers team that, sure, they have tons of talent, but you basically have 1.5 starters on this team. You have 1.5 starters when you consider the fact that Yoshinobu Yamamoto is a guy they're not looking to push deep into games. Walker Buehler, you feel like a 4 or 5 inning start from him is a complete game shutout in a previous era. And then Jack Flaherty, who had 7 scoreless in Game 1, he did not have it in Game 5, where he just was a completely different looking pitcher in that one. So I disagree. I think that, yeah, sure, everyone always likes to say Dave Roberts, yeah, he has the keys to a Bentley, but this Bentley is driving on bald tires. This Bentley has the check engine light on. This Bentley doesn't have a gas station for another 30 miles, and you only have 15, 20 miles left of gas. You got to find a way to get it there and find a way to get this team to the World Series. So it's definitely been turbulent at times, but you got to land this plane, and hopefully this Dodgers team can finish the job tomorrow, because that's the mindset. But let's get some more comments here, guys. guys, by the way, if you haven't yet subscribed to the #1 Dodgers YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit that like button. Also, definitely go pick up the WDGAF Shohei Hernandez shirt. This is the mantra, the motto for the 2024 Dodgers. That's what they're saying in the dugout, in the clubhouse. There's a mindset of the team. They're trying to keep it the outside noise out. You got the cool Kike goggles. You got the logo with the belt bump. This one has been selling like hotcakes. Sound like some Dodgers World Series tickets. I mean, sound like a new pair of Jordans. I mean, this thing is absolutely flying off the shelf. So get you one today. You got black, charcoal, Dodger blue, navy blue, light blue, all the colors you can imagine. Go to gearup.la to pick up one today. Definitely helps out the channel to give you guys more content, more giveaways, all that cool stuff. And yeah, I think, like I was saying, we're going to look back if this team goes on to win the World Series, just like the team in 1988 said, this effing team about that team. This is kind of the mindset for the 2024 Los Angeles Dodgers. But more, we got Torta Boys from DFEGZ. John Lintone, late night tortas for the win. Yep, guys, hashtag Fire Roberts. Got to get one of those in. Are we live? Absolutely. And I know what you mean by that. What we need, let's do that. D-Mac, let's just get it done with the torta. Is D-Mac okay? You guys are going crazy with the torta, so I love it. I almost had one today. I went to a birthday party, and there was an awesome taco truck right there. The guy was a fan of the show, which was pretty cool. And, yeah, great al pastor, great asada. I try to pronounce that correctly. He said I'm invited. You know what I'm saying? Asada. I don't know. I'm working on it. But, yeah, delicious stuff right there. D-Mac cooking in that late night magic for the boys. We got that is from... We got Carol _S. We'll lock this up tomorrow. Yeah, I like that. The vibes are up. Alex, there's no way the Dodgers can lose 3 games straight, right, D-Mac? Look, baseball is something that is not for the faint of heart. And the good thing about that is the odds are on the Dodgers' side. I mean, you have an 82% chance of winning this series based on how it's played out in the past when a team has gone up 3-1. I mean, the team that goes up 3-1 in a 7-game series in Major League Baseball wins that series at an 82% clip. So the last time a team came back down 3-1, it was your Dodgers back in 2020. So it's a very rare feat. But, hey, look, I don't think that's what you should lean on because this is a non-traditional Dodgers team. And I think that, yeah, it was great the fact that you beat the Padres in the NLDS. It's great that you're a game away. But you really got to give credit to the fact that this team has gotten this far and still has a really decent chance of winning the whole thing despite the injuries piling up, despite having a makeshift patchwork pitching situation that is very high risk. It's high stakes poker for this team, and you just don't want them to crash out. It was nice talking today, Doug. Oh, my man, Ray D, the JD. I did meet you today at that party I was talking about. Big time Dodgers fan out there, always rocking with us. Yeah, man, he knows all about the tacos that were there. So big shout out, big Dodgers fan, man. Always love meeting you guys. You guys get me fired up about your boys in blue. We got John Warfel. They better turn Manai into manure. That's a little bruh, though. I like that. I like the little wordplay. And now I'll give you some of that. Bruh. That's what I'm talking about. We got that nervous if we go 7. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. The ramifications of a Game 6 loss. Donut Smasher 1. D-Mac, I miss how you used to say .com. Yeah, because I go live at the studio now. I don't do the lead in to the videos now, but I'll do some more of those standalone videos too. You can see for all this Dodgers news and rumors, head over to dodgersnation.com. Yeah, you guys are hilarious. I love it. But thanks for rocking with this, guys. I'm feeling confident that the bullpen will shut down the Mets like they did the Padres in the NLDS Game 4 from Courtney Roper. John Fernandez, can it be a close game? The series sucks so bad. For me, look, I don't know, man. You see Yankees fans, Guardians fans, I mean, they've stressed those games out. Now the Yankees ended that series. It has been the case in this series where it's been a historic blowout series where the team that gets the lead, they run away with it. And that has been the trend during this series. At some point, you figure you're going to get that nail biter. You're going to get that close game. Maybe it'll be like Game 5 of the NLDS where it's a tight game. The Dodgers get some runs and the bullpen, they go out for out and they hold things scoreless. So maybe that's the case. We'll see how it goes. I'd prefer a blowout, though. A $2 super chat. Nice to talk to you with my man Ray D, the JD. That's a dope name, man. I like that. Based last night, D-Mac from Ryan M. The Dodgers need to finish the Mets tomorrow. Let's go, Dodgers. The link will be down below in the YouTube. I'll put it there, but go to gearup.la. as well, and you can find it there. So that's from our friend Raven Spirits over on Facebook. Linda Flores, Teo needs to stop swinging at the first pitch. Yeah, it's the fastballs, too, that have been his issue this series. That's what Dave talked about today. Fernando Cisneros throwing out some lineups right here. He wants to see Edman leading off, Mookie second, Shohei third, Muncy DH, Teo Hernandez, Pajes, Freeman, first base injury, Smith and Kike. Yeah, look, Shohei's not moving up the leadoff spot. I'll just tell you that much. But keep firing away in the comments section, and we're going to start right here. Let's kind of go back to what happened in Game 5. In Game 5, you got to respect the fact that Brent Honeywell did what he did. And he went out there and he gutted the innings out. He went out there and gave this team what it needed after the fact. After they essentially waved the white flag, they essentially punted in Game 5 thinking, okay, we got a Game 6. We got a Game 6 bullpen game planned for us. A Game 6 bullpen game planned. And when you have that, well, you say to yourself, we have the day off. We have the Game 6 bullpen game at home. We are going to save our high leverage guys for that game. Well, Brent Honeywell goes 4 2/3 innings, did give the 4 runs, did give up 6 hits, had no strikeouts and a walk. But I love what he said. This is what he said after the game. I told them in the dugout, it's my game until it's not. And he hasn't pitched more than 4 innings in a game since late September 23rd, and that was for the AAA Charlotte Knights in 2023. So he hasn't pitched that long in over a year, and he still went out there and he ate innings. The little Pac-Man pitcher, just eating innings. He said, I tried to keep us in the game. We had a shot to win the game. I felt like we made the turn a little bit. We battled our butts off. We knew they were going to fight tonight. That's playoff baseball. He said, save the dogs. And he was talking about the high leverage guys, the Evan Phillips, the Michael Kopechs, the Daniel Hudsons. I mean, the top dogs, the Blake Trinans in that Dodgers bullpen. So I love the humility there. I love the fact that he's saying, look, I'm going to go out there and do that. So Brent Honeywell definitely died for this team in Game 5, and he ate those innings, and it was admirable for him to do that. But question I have after sleeping on a little bit is, one, we learned after the game that Jack Flaherty was not feeling good. We learned after the game that Jack Flaherty was under the weather in this one. And he's under the weather, and he's not feeling himself, and clearly he wasn't pitching like himself. The velocity was down almost 2 miles per hour. 2 miles per hour. He did not have the command on that fastball. You did not have the same feel for his secondary stuff, the knuckle curve, the slider. It just wasn't working. You look at the homer that Pete Alonso hit in the first inning, that slider, that was down the zone. And he had the low bat path in it. He went down and got it, so we got to give him credit for that one. By the end of the day, the results said that Jack Flaherty pitched 3 innings and gave up 8 runs on 8 hits, had no strikeouts, and just 2 swings and misses. He was 11 for 21 on first pitch strikes. So the question I have is, he was your Game 1 starter. He was the guy who had 7 scoreless innings in Game 1, and because of the fact that he wasn't able to be effective, he was under the weather, the velocity was down. Well, guess what? You didn't want to have the bullpen game in Game 5, but you did have a variation of a bullpen game. The Dodgers did use just 3 pitchers. You had Flaherty, Anthony Banda, and Brent Honeywell, and Brent Honeywell went 4 2/3 innings and gave up 4 runs on 6 hits, like I just mentioned. But the question I have is, well, one thing you could have considered doing is betting on this offense. And the truth of the matter is the way that Dave Roberts has been playing this right now is it's bullpen roulette. It's high-stakes poker. And the way they view this is, okay, how good do I feel about my chances of winning in this particular game? If I feel good about them, if my offense has given me an early lead, do I go out there and be aggressive? And do we see a Michael Kopech earlier in the game, like we saw in Game 4 of the Padres series, right? Like we've seen him earlier in games to say, you know what, I'm going to go with some big dogs early on and try to keep the opposing offense at bay to allow my offense to land punches. And then we can knock this team out, and then we don't have to use the high leverage guys in the back end. Hopefully, because you're giving such a big lead, then we can see Benkis Spurious and Edgardo Henriquez and the Landon Knack types, right? So that's kind of the model, is you front load the high leverage guys when you think you have a chance to win. Well, the question is, when are we going to see this strategy employed when you are in a situation where you're trailing and you want to give them an opportunity to come back. Now, if Jack Flaherty implodes like he did and he's sick, sometimes it's a situation where the ultimate death blow would be, if I'm Dave Roberts, and the way he looks at this is, okay, my starter doesn't have it. It's an insurmountable lead at that point. But is there any lead that's insurmountable to this Dodgers team? That's the question I have. You have a locked-in Mookie Betts, a locked-in Shohei Ohtani. You have Max Muncy and Tommy Edman and Kike Hernandez performing the way they are. I personally would have liked to see, in that situation, you get a Anthony Bonda warming up, who ends up pitching. You have Brent Honeywell warming up. But what if you did go to one of the high-leverage guys early in that game to stop the bleeding and then possibly see if you can get some runs? And then what happened? Andy Paez hit a couple home runs. Mookie Betts hit a home run. The offense was putting guys on base every inning. And let's be honest, this Mets bullpen, they're not great. This Mets bullpen, they're not elite. This Dodgers team can get base runners and big hits against this Mets bullpen. I mean, that Padres bullpen was light years better than this Mets bullpen. I mean, you saw them using Edwin Diaz, their best reliever, in a loss. And I think that the way you look at it is, when is he going to roll the dice and use the leverage arms in a game where they could come back and they're trailing and you give them a chance to come back? Now, you have to look at it this way too, is if he does roll the dice and use the high leverage guys in certain spots and they lose, then it could be extremely costly, because if you have that planned bullpen game, they don't have much gas in the tank, right? You can't use them for 4 or 5 outs and the up downs, right? And then here's the truth too, is even in a game 7 where Walker Buehler could get the lion's share of the innings, there's no guarantees he's going to go 4, 5, or 6. So that could turn into a game where you need to lean heavily on your bullpen. I mean, look, they were definitely at a point in game 5 where all of a sudden they're down 3-1, and then they're down 5-1, then they're down 8-1, and it happens so fast. Baseball catches up with you very, very quickly here. But, I mean, the way you look at it is, I mean, why you take out Jack Flaherty after only 3 innings then? I mean, they let them out there to die at the first place anyway, right? So I think that it's going to be something where hopefully they're going to be just fine and they're going to win game 6, and we're not going to be thinking about game 5. But, I mean, the truth of the matter is if you went all in game 5 and you're up 3-1, look, if you found a way to come back, there is no game 6. There is no game 7. So a little more aggression could have helped you. And from their standpoint, the way they're looking at it is, it's in the 3rd inning. You're down by 2 with 2 runners on and no outs. Or you're down by 4 with a runner at second, nobody out in the 3rd. So, I mean, the choices for Dave Roberts was, okay, I'm just going to live to fight another day. And that's the decision they made. So I think for me, I personally would have at the very least sent out one high leverage reliever, see if I could stop the bleeding, keep it at a respectable distance, and see if you can have your own explosive inning, and then you end the series. And then you're not playing game 6 and 7 while the Yankees series is ended and they're getting a nice little rest, right? So I think looking back at it, that's kind of what I would have done in that situation. But hey, Dave Roberts has done, for the most part, a masterful job during this postseason at getting this team where it is right now. And I don't think that it can be overstated. I mean, what he's doing with a depleted bullpen, where this season has essentially been a season of Squid Game, where one pitcher falls off, one pitcher gets injured, this pitcher gets injured, this pitcher gets injured. There's only a couple of them left by the end of the season. That's what he's dealing with. So it's not traditional. It's very high risk. And look, this is the byproduct of just not having dependable traditional starting pitchers, right? This is not normal for Major League Baseball to have a team go this deep and you essentially have 1.5, 2.5 starting pitchers, right? It's high stakes, and we'll see if it works, because the truth is, in game 6, you got to win this game. And the good thing about this is it's not going to be like game 2. Game 2 was very different. Game 2 was very different in the sense that you went with Landon Ag after a Ryan Brazier, and Ryan Brazier, he's your opener, and he gives up the home run to Francisco Lindor. And then you go to Landon Knack. Well, Dave Roberts said today he's going to be a little more aggressive with his high leverage arms in this bullpen game, and that he's going to feel a little more comfortable stretching them out to get 4 or 5 outs. So that tells you right there, it's not going to be a situation where you go to a Ryan Brazier and then you go to a Landon Knack or a Brent Honeywell or a Ben Casperius or Edgardo Henriquez, any of those types of guys. The real plan is going to be, I think, that you look at the way Ryan Brazier has pitched since he's been back from the injury. You have to feel a little better about him the next time around versus Francisco Lindor. Is Francisco Lindor going to hit the home run off of him again, right? Is that going to happen? Is this Mets offense going to go out there and pound him again? I think that the odds are a little more in your favor, right? I mean, baseball is the sport where the defense has the ball, right? It's the unique thing about Major League Baseball versus other sports. And you look at him in this series, he's pitched in 2 games in the NLCS, and he's given up 2 hits and just the home run. He's had the 2 walks, and he's given up just 1 run, right? So I think with Ryan Brazier, you still have to feel pretty comfortable about using him as an opener. But for the second time around, you're not going to Landon Knack, right? You're going to go to an Anthony Bonda type, one of those guys, right? The Anthony Bonda, we'll see where it stands for Michael Kopech, but you need to keep the Evan Phillipses of the world and the Blake Tryons of the world. You got to keep those guys ready and iced for later in the game if it's tight. But if you find yourself in a situation where you're exchanging blows early on, you are going to see them empty the clip and use those bullets early on versus later in the game. So it's going to be a very different bullpen game. And the reason why it's so imperative, it's crucial. Tomorrow, look, I'm not saying that winning tomorrow is a matter of life and death. I'm saying it's more important than that, because I don't want to see a Game 7 where the Mets have seen Walker Buehler the second time around. And at that point, the Mets, I truly feel like they'd be playing with house money at that point. And all the pressure would be against this Dodgers team where, okay, are they going to blow a 3-1 lead? Are they going to use the C word? You know what I'm talking about? Their Dodgers are going to choke, right? That's going to be the narrative about this team. You want to avoid that at all costs, because the way that Walker Buehler's pitched this season, despite the great performance we saw from him in Game 3, you don't want to bank on that necessarily in Game 7, because here's the thing. If he comes out and he doesn't have it, or he's not able to go deeper into games, and the truth is the odds of him going past 5 are unlikely to begin with, you still need coverage from your high leverage guys in that game as well. So tomorrow it's so important that the bats come out and they set the tone, and you get to Sean Manaea, and I think you are in a situation where you're making him throw more strikes in the zone, you're seeing him more times, and you can find a way to generate some offense off of him. And I'm excited to see him in a night game. I mean, night game versus day game is definitely going to be a factor. But yeah, it's bullpen roulette, and this is typically not the type of bullpen that you're seeing that wins a World Series at the back end. At the back end, yes, but as far as the rookies, right? I mean, let's be honest. There's a couple of guys that are on this Dodgers postseason roster as pitchers that might not even be on rosters of teams that aren't even postseason teams in the regular season, right? Just because of all the injuries, you got these rookies here. And look, I've been excited about watching Ben Casperius and Brent Honeywell. I love Brent Honeywell. The gold chain, the mullet, the turtleneck. I love this guy. He's great. He's fantastic. It's my new spirit animal, man. I love Brent Honeywell. We need to fast track a Brent Honeywell bobblehead night for Game 1 of the World Series. They make it there. How about that? But the truth is that you're really depending on 4 or 5 guys. So it's high stakes, man. And hopefully they all have it too. I mean, hopefully they all have it, because that's a very potent Mets lineup that is excited to where they're at. Another thing too about not being aggressive in Game 5 is you hurt Jack Flaherty's confidence, right? And then 2, you put this Mets team in a position where they do have confidence, right? They are riding high. They've seen Bat hit the ball. They have forced the issue where, yeah, the Dodgers went back to L.A., but the Mets came back with them. And you started a series now where it's a 2-game series where both of these teams are at Dodger Stadium. The Dodgers have 2 games to win 1. So, yeah, you gave them a lot of confidence there. So we'll see how it plays out. I do think there's a world where they win Game 6 and it still is okay to be aggressive in Game 5. Just because if they win Game 6, it doesn't mean it would have been the wrong decision to be a little more aggressive and go for the jugular in Game 5. But we're going to get more into what Dave Roberts had to say today. We're going to talk more about Freddie Freeman. Will he be in the lineup? But I want to get into some of your comments here. Welcome to the Dodgers Dugout Live Late Night After Dark edition. We got to start Casperius from Jose Aguirre. Who do you guys want to see on the bump starting things out? I highly doubt you're going to see Ben Casperius. I would assume you got to go with Ryan Brazier again. We got hope they left Chris Taylor, New York, from Jeffrey Block. Oh, always picking on CT. David Sabatini, what's up, my man? We got Oscar. This is Robert's biggest moment. The Mets are beatable, but pitcher management could hurt us. Mets have decent batters. Lindor and Alonso, we can't underestimate their effort. Yeah, both those guys have gotten it going this series, and I could not agree with you more. This is Dave Roberts' big moment. I mean, this is the legacy postseason for Dave Roberts, because like we said at the top of the show, yeah, people out there, Dave Roberts has the keys to a Bentley. Sure, you can have the keys to a Bentley. You got to know how to drive it, right? If you give the keys to a Bentley to a new driver that's 16 and he just got his driver's license, yeah, they're probably not going to drive it safely, right? You still have to know how to drive that car, and the truth of the matter is that Bentley, it's due for a service, right? It's due for some maintenance on it, and he's been able to push that almost to the World Series. And I think when you look at where Dave Roberts is at right now, you look at series in the past, and the question is, has he learned from those series? Has he learned from the uses of Brent Morrow, the usage of Rich Hill and taking him out? And did he lose from being a little too panicky with how he used Kenley Jansen in those situations? I think the thing that's different about Dave Roberts this time around that I think is so crucial that no one's really talking about is the fact that he doesn't have an exclusive closer, right? The California adventure is no more. Kenley is not the guy that you say, okay, so the end of the game, you got to go to Kenley Jansen. And the truth is, in this series, you haven't needed that. You haven't had to go to that guy at the end of the game because these games have been decided in the early innings of these games, right? But the fact that you don't have that guy that you have to say, oh, he is our designated closer. He is that guy. That opens things up for Dave Roberts to either make right or wrong decisions one way or the other. He gets opportunities to push the right or wrong buttons because all of his best relievers are matchup-based earlier in games. Look, you can lose a game in the 6th just as much as you can lose a game in the 9th, right? You can lose a game in the 7th and 8th just imagine you can lose them in the 1st and 2nd. So the key for Dave Roberts is playing the matchups, not giving Lindor and Alonso and all these guys the same looks that they've seen, and just mixing things up as much as possible and keeping them off balance by throwing guys in different situations. So the reason why this is such a legacy opportunity for Dave Roberts is if they did go on to win the World Series, no one could look back and say, oh, he had this turnkey roster. All he did was have to show up. A kindergartner can manage that roster to a World Series. No one could say that at this point. No one could ever make that claim. If Dave Roberts leads this team to a World Series, he'll be one of the biggest reasons why from a tactical standpoint, because it would mean that we look back and he pushed the right buttons, and the way he used his relievers and gave them confidence and put them in the right situations to have success, sent Mark Pryor out there for mound visits, went out there and discussed their roles before games and how they're going to be utilizing. All these things play into it. It's a very nuanced situation that he's dealing with. So, yeah, I totally agree. And here's the truth of the matter is, as far as it being a legacy series, yeah, if he goes on to win the World Series and beat a Yankees team, just imagine that. This would be the polar opposite of the 2020 World Series. As far as the haters go, you and I know that feeling you had when you watched Julio Urias strike out Willy Adames, you know that feeling you had. No one can ever take that away from you. No hater that wants to say Mickey Mouse this, Mickey Mouse that. They're just goofy, right? No one can take that moment away from you. You know it's legitimate. You know how you experienced that. It was a very unique situation. It's not like the Dodgers wanted any special privileges, right? There was a championship to be won, and they won it. Bottom line, end of the story. But if we're talking about the haters, if we're talking about the naysayers, if we're talking about the Alex Verdugos of the world, who they're going to see in this series, who said it was a 60-gamer, right? Those haters out there, I'm looking at you, Alex Verdugo. I mean, for those haters out there, what could they say now? I mean, I sound like Jason Tatum right now, by the way. But what could they say now that you beat a potential Padres team. You beat them, who all the experts said was going to beat the Dodgers, right? Everyone said that Padres team was possibly going to win the World Series. They were the sexy pick to win the World Series. Then you could beat a Mets team who had one of the best finishes through the season, a lot of talent, big payroll, big market. You have the Grimace Magic there, right? And then you beat a Yankees team that was the number one seed in the American League, that has an MVP in the American League, has a stacked roster in a full season. Then what could you say? This would be the ultimate FU run for the Dodgers if they go on to finish the job. But we'll have plenty of time to unpack that. But as far as Dave Roberts and the evolution, Dave was asked today about just kind of the urgency of the bullpen. And Dave said, yeah, it's going to be a bullpen game similar to what we did in Game 2 with the expectation of better execution. How we use those guys, I'm not sure yet. A lot of it is dictated on how they construct the lineup. So we'll see what the Mets do with their lineup. And traditionally, it's really about stopping their 1 through 4. It's about stopping Lindor, Vientos. It's about stopping Pete Alonso, because that's who has done the most damage for them. But we've seen, Nimmo, and we've seen guys that can get hits down in the order. But the key is to stopping those 1 through 4 to really put yourself in a good spot to win this game. So they'll be dictated on that. But he did say it's all hands on deck situation. And that's how I'll look at it tomorrow. And with the pen, there's only so much you can push each guy. So it's kind of just depending on where they're at as far as the kind of hitter, pitch count, all that stuff. So he said all hands on deck. I do want to point out that he was asked about Shohei Ohtani, if he was an option to pitch. He said no. Said thanks for asking. He asked about Yamamoto as a possibility. He said no. So it's not truly all hands on deck. And, of course, you won't see a Jack Flaherty as well. But for the most part, you're going to see the entire bullpen is available, along with the back end, the front end. Everyone is available out of the bullpen. So, and not just available, they're available for 4 outs, 5 outs, up downs. That means you're starting an inning, you're going to the dugout for the rest, and you're coming back out. So that's the up down situation right there. And really, it's about Game 6, but he does say that they feel confident about run prevention in Game 7 as well. So they feel good about where they're at. They feel like, okay, we're the smartest guys in the room. We know what we're doing. This is our plan because of the circumstances that we're dealing with in not having Tyler Glasnow and Gavin Stone and Clayton Kershaw and all these starters that you expected to have, those traditional starters. They're doing what they have to do to be able to get 27 outs, and then hopefully the offense steps up and gives them the runs. Now, he did say that when he was asked a question about the evolution, he said he has evolved, and he thinks that each moment he feels that it's about putting the best option out there. So, yeah, I definitely think Dave Roberts has evolved. I think that for him, the biggest thing is really trusting these guys in the right situations. But I do think that we know at this point is, he has a lot of say in the in-game stuff. Andrew Freeman isn't in his ear, right? Ultimately, he has to make those decisions. Now, about Freddie Freeman, this is one of the big developments as well. Freddy Freeman, who has 7 hits in the postseason, all of them singles. He hasn't really made an impact on this series. Freddie Freeman, I think that after the 2 home runs by Andy Pages, with the way that Shohei Hernandez has played, with the way that Max Muncy has played, with the fact that you have Sean Manaea, a lefty out there starting Game 6, I think it's clear as day that Freddie Freeman will not be in the lineup tomorrow for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And Dave was asked about it, and he said, I haven't talked to him yet. He's in the training room. I mentioned last night, I do think the swing is compromised because of the ankle, and he's grinding. As I sit here, I'm expecting him in there, but until he's not, if it's costly for him, for us, we'll certainly pivot. So he's saying that right now. I just can't imagine you would have Freddie Freeman in there when you consider that he's just not Freddie Freeman right now. And it's no slight on the guy. The guy, like I said, if he was in the hospital, he would have the nurse push him from the hospital bed to home plate and take some swings and give you a single to left center and give you everything he's got, right? That's the kind of guy he is. But the truth of the matter is that version of Freddie Freeman is compromised. And he has not been the guy that we've seen in years past, even early in the series. And the truth is, it's like, what are you going to get from Freddie Freeman? The best case scenario is he gives you a single. He's not taking walks. And is he going to run the bases, and how is that going to impact him with his lateral mobility playing first base? And also, too, I mean, if you can sit him tomorrow, and the Dodgers win, like we all hope they do, well, the World Series, I mean, look at the World Series starting on Friday, October 25th. So he could get a ton of rest. I mean, literally a week of rest. And then you're saying, okay, we do need that version of Freddie Freeman, and you're going to get some reinforcements in the hopefully you'll get to Alex Vesia back, and we'll see how it was with Bruce Dargratol, Joe Kelly. I mean, there's some guys who could potentially be back in the World Series, but Freddie Freeman certainly would definitely be a massive impact player if you can get him back to anywhere near the all-star hitter of his generation type of guy that we've seen throughout his career. And Freddie Freeman said to the reporters as well today, he said that, you guys know I love my routine. I'm very routine-based, and I haven't been able to do that. He said, I know what every day is like. I just wish I could do my routine. So the fact that he's not able to do his routine right now, and I can tell you this from going to games and covering this team up close and personal, when you get to Dodger Stadium and you go onto that field, usually the very first guy you see is Freddie Freeman, and he's right in front of Dino Ebel, and they're doing their routine. And that's what he does. And he does the same thing every single day. That's why he doesn't get too high or too low. That's why he doesn't focus on the results when they're not there. And the fact that he can't do that, it lets you know that he's not even close to 100%. He also said it's like you're running a 100-meter hurdles. I keep hitting the same hurdle, and I run right into it every time. It is what it is, and I'm doing the best I can. I'll get a lot of treatment tomorrow and try to fix this swing. So there he's admitting that the swing isn't right, saying I have to fix this swing. There he's admitting that I'm running into hurdles. Look, we love you, Freddie Freeman. We absolutely love you. The Freddie. Those chants are going nowhere. You had your two best individual seasons of your career with the Dodgers. That's the truth. Look back 50 years from now, you can say Freddie Freeman's best individual years were with the Dodgers in his age 33 and age 34 seasons, right? I have said it before, I'll say it again. He has been baseball's version of fine wine. He gets better with age. But having said all that, I mean, he needs to do what's best for him and the team right now. And the fact is, he's not hitting. And when he does hit, he's not giving you extra base hits. He's not running the base. And look, if he magically wakes up tomorrow and the ankle's feeling great, then, hey, I'm all for it. Put him in the lineup. But if he's the same guy he was in New York, I think that he owes it to himself and the team because of Andy Paz showing pop. You have a lefty on the mound. Andy Paz just hit 2 home runs, and he's matched lefties all season long. Shohei Hernandez, he's a dog. Max Muncy, he's been a dog. He's played great in the NLCS. I think the decision's pretty obvious, but let me know down below in the comment section. Would you want to see Freddie Freeman still in the lineup tomorrow for the Dodgers, or would you rather see him resting? Would you rather see him out of that Dodgers lineup? But like Mookie Betts said, hey, Mookie jokingly said after the win in Game 4, he said, hey, Freddie Freeman's out of the lineup, and when he's been out of that lineup, the Dodgers have won both games. Maybe they need to sit him for the rest of the postseason or sit him more games, something like that. I'm paraphrasing. So, yeah, I mean, he's joking. Obviously, this team is not a better team without Freddie Freeman on it when he's healthy. But, I mean, we're talking about an injury that takes 6 weeks to heal, and even then you're looking at getting the rhythm back for your swing. So, yeah, it's been heroic, but it's Freddie Gibson, man. He's the Kirk Gibson 2.0, right? I mean, it would be great to see him come to a pinch hit situation in the World Series and get a big swing out, but the truth is, if you look at his production during this series, this league championship series, Freddie Freeman, he's had 18 at-bats, and he's 3 for 18. All those 3 hits have been singles, 1 RBI, 4 strikeouts, and 1 walk. So you're getting just singles, no walks. He's hitting 167. I think the decision pretty much makes itself. Now, as far as, let me give some of your comments here about Freddie Freeman. What do you guys think the Dodgers should do? Do you think he should be out of the lineup? Daniel Clark says, def, scratch Freddie. Jose said it's not even Freeman. Rest Freddie for the World Series from SoCal Fun 24. We got Taylor should announce his retirement. You guys so hard on Taylor. Matthew Vasquez has his lineup says Betts, Ohtani, Muncy, Smith, Teo, Edmund, Lux, Kike, Pies. Like anything doesn't start. It's a great look. I love you guys and have your takes, man. Trust me. But anything that doesn't have Dime Dropper. What up, Dime Dropper? Oh, the Locked On Clippers host. What's up, my man? I saw your vlog of the Intuit Dome. That was fire, man. I think with the water situation after halftime was intense. I got to experience that in person, but that was fantastic, man. And I'm glad you're excited because hey, that arena is no joke, man. I don't like how you got fans saying the Lakers are renters and this and that, and I appreciate the banter, but yeah, good stuff with that, man. Congrats, Alan. Hey, D-Mac, Juan Soto's series clinching blast was salt in the wound for Padres fans. Yeah, I mean it's the Padres, man. You look at that deal, what they gave up, and they gave up. I mean, you look at that revisited deal for the Padres and for Juan Soto. I mean, it was all in move. And you look. Here's the thing: Peter Seidler is unbelievable, and rest in peace, and nothing but respect. He's was an incredible owner, and look, I don't fault them for doing that move, man. Like they were going all in to win a World Series, and Preller went all in to win a World Series. So you got to give him credit, man. I seriously, I'm not going to sit here and slam on the Padres for trying to get Juan Soto. It just didn't work out, right? They put together a good roster. It didn't quite work out. And look, sometimes, you get what you pay for, man. And Juan Soto's a generational talent. He's one in a billion, right? Sure, they gave a lot of stuff, man. You gave a lot in that trade, and you revisit it. Sure. I mean, there's definitely going to be some revisionist history on that trade, and no one's going to debate that. But, yeah, I mean, Juan Soto's incredible. I think that he's going to get paid. I would love to see him stay in New York. I've had people tell me the Phillies could step into that. We'll see what happens. But, yeah, I mean, that was that. I think that's really why I'm doing this live tonight. Obviously, that Yankees game got me so juiced. Because now it's like, okay, the urgency is cranked up to a 10 now because you don't want that team, they're resting, you want to rest. You want to lock it in, they want to lock it in. You want to make your arrangements, they want to make their arrangements into what would be a heavyweight title fight for the ages to win for the World Series. I mean, the Yankees-Dodgers is going to feed families if it happens, okay? I mean, just the viewership in Japan alone would exceed whatever the domestic draw of the Rangers versus the Diamondbacks. I mean, the Rangers versus Diamondbacks, nobody watched it. Didn't even happen. I mean, at 9 million viewers, it was the lowest all time. It was an all-time low in viewership. So, yeah, I know people on Twitter were having issues with people jinxing stuff. No one jinxed anything about that. I just said what I said, and I said that it would, keyword would, which is not guaranteeing anything, it would be great for baseball. It certainly would be epic for the sport to get that matchup, and I would love to see it. But more from Dave Roberts, and look, they're going all in tomorrow. He said, I think we're going to do everything we can to win tomorrow. I just don't think there's much cost given that we have an off day. So today, where the pen's at, where the starters are at, I mean, would it bleed in the next day? I just don't think it would cost that much. So he's talking kind of about the balancing act of using his starters in the relievers, but they're going all in tomorrow, and they want to close this thing out in Game 6 and try to just punch their ticket tomorrow. But, yeah, I mean, the other question, too, is about Will Smith. He had a little situation where he was pinch hit for in Game 5, and he was asked if it was just about the matchups and why he did that. And Dave said, no, he took a foul tip or a bat to the hand, back of the hand on one of the plays, and I didn't learn about this until it was in the hole last night. He just gave me a heads up. For me, at that point, I just felt like to kind of give Gavin a chance to at Stanek and take a look at him and get Austin in there to catch. So he took a little bit of something. It's nothing, and he gets an opportunity to use Lux in a situation off the bench, which is definitely something that can be valuable potentially when you start a game where there's a lefty down the line potentially, right? So definitely makes a lot of sense. And, yeah, it was his catching hand as well. So I like that, kind of being cautious, especially at that point in the game. And the other big question, too, and something we need to see tomorrow is Teoscar Hernandez, because Teoscar Hernandez, he's been MIA. Hey, if you've seen Teoscar Hernandez, please return him to 1000 Vince Scully Avenue tomorrow, because he just has not performed to the level that we've seen him. And he's had some cold spells this season, but nothing like we've seen right now. I mean, he's 0 for 18 this series. 0 for 18 this series. He has drawn 7 walks, but 9 strikeouts in 18 at-bats. I mean, that's a 50% strikeout clip. That's a lot of strikeouts, okay? And Dave was asked about Teo, and he said, I think Teoscar is missing fastballs. That's the number one culprit. I think they're just bullying him in with the heater. So midline, top of the zone. I think Manaea is going to do the same thing tomorrow. So I think if you can't hit the fastball and move it forward, you just expose yourself to the cheat and to spin, and that's the main thing. So, yeah, you kind of expose yourself up to cheat. So what he means by that is basically you got to hit the heater, because if you don't hit the heater, then you really can't stay back on the spin. And that's been the issue. I mean, Teoscar Hernandez has simply been missing pitches in the zone. And it's not the same Teoscar Hernandez as we've seen for this season that has been the Dodgers' most clutch hitter, right? He has the most RBIs in runners in scoring position, and he's definitely been that guy against left-handed pitchers. So really tomorrow it should be a game where he steps up in a big way and hopefully breaks out of this slump, especially when you look at everything that's on the table for him entering free agency. But most importantly is you need that thump from him, because right now Shohei and Mookie, they're carrying. They're performing up to their superstar levels. And Teoscar, he's kind of one of those guys in the slump. And kind of the beautiful thing about this, I've said this for years, is guys are going to slump. They just can't all slump at the same time. And right now, they're not slumping all at the same time, so they're still able to score some runs. But you definitely need some more production from Teoscar Hernandez. And for him, the fastballs, the way he's missing him, I mean, you just need him to be in a better spot. And I think you saw the play where he hit the ground ball that led to Shohei Ohtani not scoring with the infield back, and he just retreated back to third, and you got to get a run in that situation. They would have conceded the run in that situation, and there's no doubt about that, and that just changes everything, right? The Dodgers get an early lead. Jack Flaherty is pitching with the leads, a little more confidence, and it's a very small lead, but still a lead is a lead. And by the way, Dave was asked about that today, and honestly, I don't know about you guys, but I kind of had a little more respect for Dave, in the sense that, I mean, when he was asked by Ken Rosenthal about Shohei not scoring in that situation and what that meant, he literally said that he had a brain cramp and he froze up. So, hey, say what you want about Dave Roberts, but he's not afraid to say things and speak candidly about his best player, his superstar. So I like that. I mean, he wasn't just saying, oh, he's fine and he's the greatest player in the world, he's 50-50 and this and that. No, he said he had a brain cramp. And I think that's the thing where Shohei Ohtani was being a little cautious, especially in a game where you're up 3-1 in that series. You're up 3-1, so you can be aggressive, right? You can go out there and try to score that run. But I think that's a little bit of, okay, this is my first postseason on a big stage playing in New York. I think there was a little bit of that for Shohei, but he was asked about that and kind of the after effects of that. And he said that Dino Ebel talked to him and that Dave didn't follow up, but he said simply it won't happen again. So that tells you Dino had the conversation with Shohei. Dino has a relationship with Shohei dating back to their days in Anaheim. So it's pretty clear that's not going to happen again. And look, let's be honest. I mean, Shohei's been a fantastic base runner, right? I mean, he's the guy that went out there and went 50-50. So, I mean, that's the thing. He's been a great base runner this year, but situationally, you want him to go out there and do that. I mean, come on, you're talking about Shohei Ohtani. He stole 59 stolen bases in 63 attempts. I mean, that was a 93.7% stolen base rate. So, I mean, come on now. He's been fantastic in that one. But I'm not too worried about Shohei Ohtani. But I definitely think that it's kind of a example of, hey, man, even the best players occasionally in this sport, I mean, you're going to have an error. You're going to have a mistake. You're going to make a mistake. I mean, look at the mistake that Miguel Rojas made in Game 3 of the Padres series. I mean, one of the best defensive shortstops, he can make a mistake. Shohei Ohtani can make a base running mistake, but it's important to learn from those things and go out there and make sure that you're taking care of business and you're doing the right baseball play the next time you're presented with that opportunity. So, yeah, I mean, it'd be great to have a great Shohei game tomorrow for sure. That's definitely a game where it's a massive stage where he can lead this Dodgers team to the World Series. And, yeah, I mean, that's what's at stake tomorrow. And it's interesting, too, because, look, I mean, this Dodgers team, the last couple of pennants, right? I mean, 2020 was considered a home game at Globe Life, but still, that wasn't at Dodger Stadium. And then 2018 was in Milwaukee, Game 7, when they beat the Brewers. And then 2017, they won the pennant in Chicago. And for the most part, I mean, you look at the history of the Dodgers when they've won the pennant, a lot of times it's come on the road, but tomorrow they could be they could do it for the first time in 36 years. The Dodgers could clinch the pennant at Dodger Stadium for the first time since they beat the New York Mets 6-0 in Game 7 of the 1988 NLCS. And that was the team that was called the Mighty Mets. Tom Lasorda, the Mighty Mets, you know, they said we could have beat the Mighty Mets, right? The 100-win team from Queens that had beaten that Dodger team 10 of 11 games in the regular season. Well, I mean, that Dodgers team went out there and they were able to win that series, and they did it at Dodger Stadium. So, yeah, I'm going to do a little video on that a little later. They also won in 1978 NLCS Game 4. They beat the Phillies in 10 innings. They beat the Phillies 4-3 in 1978. And then in 1974, NLCS Game 4, they beat the Pirates 12-1 to win the pennant. 1965, they beat the Braves 3-1, and that was a great moment just because that was in a different era of the postseason. The Dodgers had made that big comeback that season. They had a 13-game winning streak down the stretch to put them in a position to win that. In 1963, they beat the Mets 4-1. So, yeah, I mean, it'd be special to win at Dodger Stadium and to win against this New York Mets team that definitely is playing with some confidence right now. But let's go down below in the comment section, guys. That's pretty much the big takeaways from Dave Roberts' media session today. Is it does seem like Freddie Freeman, they're leaning towards probably not having the lineup based on all the points we just made. And I think from a pitching plan standpoint, you're just going to see Ryan Brazier most likely, but you're not going to see Knack take down those early innings, right? You're going to go right into leverage guys, especially if you get an early lead, too. I would expect an Anthony Bonda situation, too, the way his splits have looked here, and then you still save some of those big dogs towards the end. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Michael Kopech early like he's used him as well. And I think Gavin Lux, too. I mean, Gavin Lux, he did say about the hip flexor injury. He said Gavin is doing better each day. I don't think we risked anything by giving him that bat yesterday. He's not 100%, but with today being off, tomorrow not starting, I think we're going to get into a good spot. So hopefully we're out of the woods with Gavin, but not 100%, but getting better. So with a lefty on the mound, you won't see Gavin Lux in the lineup, but he is trending in the right direction. So the question is, are we going to get that close game, man? Are we going to get that nail biter? I know some of you want it. Me personally, I prefer a 10-0 Dodgers win to send him to the World Series, but he was asked about that and these teams getting these big blowout wins, and he said, I think that it's about the bullpen. I think it's part of it. I think that leverage relievers are leverage relievers for a reason, and typically, certainly I think across baseball, managers are being more aggressive once they catch a lead and going with those guys, and it's just hard to get back into a game and tack on runs. When you're seeing other arms, I just think it kind of exposes the other team's pens, and I think we've done a really good job. So, but I will say Brett Honeywell, what he did for us yesterday, I don't think he's thrown this many pitches in a big league game was huge. Yeah, they tacked on, but what he did for us is really going to help us going forward for sure. So it really is about that. I mean, that's the reason why is teams are getting leads and they're going for broke with their high leverage guys, and I expect the Dodgers to do the same in Game 6. But here we go. We got I'm behind 10 minutes. What up, Mr. Marty Mar? We got a super chat, $2. Teo's been garbage since his agent's stupid tweet. That's interesting. Yeah, his agent did come out with like he wrote his high school senior thesis in a tweet about Teo betting on himself. And look, I don't think that's obviously a factor. I mean, Teo can be streaky at times. And the good thing is, like I said, I mean, Teo, since hitting that home run in Game 5 of the NLDS, has gone quiet. But let's not forget, he did give you that home run. And he can, just like that, he can snap into it. I've said before, I'll say it again, is it takes more than one game to get into a slump. It takes more than one game to get out of a slump. But in the postseason, if you just have that one game, it's all that really matters, right? Especially from Teoscar Hernandez, right? They're not asking Teo to be Shohei or Mookie. They're asking him to be one of the top dogs in that second tier with Max Muncy and Will Smith when he's right and those guys. But the truth is, Tommy Edmonds stepped up. So that helps you withstand that. Max Muncy stepped up. So that helps you withstand that. So I wouldn't be surprised if against the Yankees where, hey, guess what? The Yankees series, he owned them, right? That was his series, right? I don't know what the Yankees sent him for Father's Day, but I hope it was nice because Teo is the Yankees' daddy this year. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him find it. And then if they face the Yankees and they're able to win Game 6 or Game 7, which fingers crossed, toes crossed, right? Pray to blue heaven on up there that we can find a way to finish this job. But I wouldn't be surprised if you see that change, right? I mean, that's what happens in the postseason. We've seen that so many times. I mean, when a player goes off in the World Series and they weren't as great in the NLCS. I mean, Corey Seager was able to kind of go off throughout, but even the home runs that he hit in the World Series, those were in losses, right? I mean, you could have made the case that Mookie had some very meaningful home runs. He hit the home run in Game 1. He hit the home run in Game 6 to ice it, made some big defensive plays throughout that series. So, hey, who knows? Maybe in the World Series, it's Teo back on track, and then Muncy hits a little bit of a skid, or Edmund hits a little bit of a skid. The key is to just have these guys not slumping all at the same time. That hasn't happened yet during this postseason, save for a couple games here and there. And that's why they're a game away from punching their ticket to the Fall Classic. But we got Sackzilla 06. Scoring early is effing huge. Absolutely. I mean, that is the key to this series as far as how the Dodgers are playing it. Because when the Dodgers score early, then the light goes on for Doc, saying, we score early. He can smell that blood, right? The blood's in the water. He's that shark. And early leads, the siren goes off to be more aggressive with your relievers and then pile on runs, and then the game's out of reach, and then you're running away with this thing. I mean, save for Blake Trinan and that bullpen performance that we saw in Game 5 and Game 4 of that series against the Padres in the NLDS, they won that game 8-0. The formula, the recipe for success is early leads to early high leverage reliever appearances, which has been how the Dodgers have gotten to where they've gone to. TBD, I guess TBD is the new Sandy Koufax when he's right? TBD, that bullpen game. So there's no doubt about that. You need to get an early lead. You look at Game 1, they scored first, they win 9-0. Game 2, Lindor hits the home run, and then the Mets get all the momentum. They take the crowd out of it. They end up winning that game. And they're in a situation where you look at Game 3, the Dodgers win 8-0. They go on to score first. You look at Game 4. Game 4 was interesting in the sense that both teams scored in the first inning. In the first inning of Game 4, Ohtani hit that leadoff home run, and then Vientos, he matched it in the bottom of the first. But still, the Dodgers, they go on to win that game 10-2. So the team that has scored first in this series has won each of the games. So, yeah, couldn't agree with you more. It's major reason why these teams have run away with these games, and it's something to look for early on. Who crosses home plate first? If it's the Dodgers, I feel pretty good about their chances, especially if it's a crooked number inning where you get a big home run, you're scoring 2 to 3 runs, and that's why the Ohtani blunder, it was so pivotal, right? It was so pivotal because anytime you can take the crowd out of it and give your guy on the mound a little more confidence, hey, it's huge, man. I know Flaherty was sick. I know the velocity was down, but he was on the mound, man. And you could say, okay, 4 days rest, 5 days rest, and this and that. I think one of the things for Dave Roberts in this series is knowing and being realistic about the fact that, bullpen games work, but at some point, each of every bullpen piece you have is not going to have. Remember, the lights-out bullpen games that we saw in the Padres series, you had Alex Vesia. You don't have Alex Vesia this time around. You saw the inning they did have with Evan Phillips, where it wasn't the Evan Phillips that we saw through most of this series, where he had retired 13 straight batters this postseason at one point. The Evan Phillips that we saw in the last appearance that he made in Game 4, yeah, I mean, there was a little struggle there. I mean, he gave the single to Nimmo. Marte had an infield single. He walked Martinez. So just like that, I mean, they were at bases loaded, and he had to work himself out of that jam. And ultimately, you had to bring in Trinan to get out Winker for the final out of that inning. So Evan Phillips, as dominant as he's looked, he even showed a little bit of signs that maybe he could crack at some point. So Dave Roberts realizes that, and that's why it's so imperative, man. We know that this team is going to win with their bats, and they have to do most of the group project, right? If we're looking at the group project, you need the bats to do 65% of it, maybe even 70% for this team to truly advance in this series and win the entire thing. But some more comments here, guys, and we are live late on Saturday night. We are counting down to tomorrow with 50 minutes away from game day. You love that. Tomorrow, Ravine, it's going down. Game 6, Dodgers, Mets. Let's do this. We got Yankees' path to the World Series easier than the Dodgers. I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think the way that you look at that Yankees team, the Yankees are a team that has a ton of talent like the Dodgers. They have their own pitching issues. I mean, the Royals are okay. The Guardians were okay, right? But the truth of the matter is, I mean, the Padres were the hottest team in baseball down the stretch with a lot of talent and a bullpen that was constructed to beat the Dodgers, and they beat that team. So I would say the Dodgers have had the harder path for sure, especially when you look at where their roster is right now and just how the pitching has been compromised, and how you have a offense that has, Freddie Freeman's been injured too. So I would definitely say the Dodgers have had a harder path. All that Guardians team, they're a tough team to beat, man. They were a tough team to beat. They presented some problems too. We got Yankees would have not beat the Orioles for Matthew Vasquez. Who's your pick to win MVP if we win Game 6? That's from ASO_65. That's a really good question that I've been thinking about. I picked Shohei Ohtani at the beginning of the series to win MVP of the NLCS. And if you look at where Shohei Ohtani is right now through 5 games, 6 for 18, hitting .333 with a 12.05 OPS. And the only OPSs that are higher than him are Mookie Betts, who I think right now, if it was between Mookie and Shohei, it'd have to go to Mookie because Mookie has 2 home runs, 3 doubles, hitting .364 with a 12.35 OPS. Max Muncy hitting .385 with a 14.82 OPS, but he wouldn't win it over Mookie. And right now, I think it goes Mookie, then Shohei, then honestly, for me personally, Tommy Edman. Even though Tommy Edman's OPS is at .891 and you've had 2 doubles, not as much slug, he does lead the team with 9 hits. And you also add the fact that he's made it look easy playing shortstop. He's seamlessly transitioned to playing shortstop for the injured Miguel Rojas, and he's playing that position at a very, very high level. So I would certainly include him in that mix. But, hey, what if Andy Pajes hits 2 home runs tomorrow? If Andy Pajes hits another 2 home runs tomorrow and the Dodgers win, I'm giving Andy Pajes the MVP because, I mean, he looks at the hits. He has 4 hits. 4 hits. I mean, it's 2 behind Shohei and 4 behind Mookie. So, look, I think if Shohei has a big game tomorrow and Shohei has a meaningful home run, he certainly is going to possibly win it because if he hits a home run tomorrow, then he'll lead the team in home runs in this championship series. So I think that Shohei's going to have a big game. I think Shohei will ultimately win it. But if you get a big Mookie game, it's going to be Mookie. But let me know down below who you guys have as your NLCS MVP if they were to win it tomorrow. Shohei is the MVP from Ang. We got Ohtani is the dad of Juan Soto and Judge from Jose Herrera. Teo going to make a big play tomorrow to send us to the big dance tomorrow to shut the haters up. Book it. Fire take. D-Mac. You want that fire take from my man G-H-I-E Gemecha Seg. Sometimes you guys don't make it easy on me with the names, but here's your fire take that you want. I got you. Oh, wait a minute. I'll give you still a little bit. Oh, this one, fire take. All of our starters are question marks from Boom Shakalaka. Exactly. They really, truly are. There's no one that you can completely guarantee is going to be that guy, right? You don't have 2018 Bueller. You don't have 63, 65 Sandy Koufax. You know, that guy's not walking through that door. Even 2017 Kirsch, really, without the cheating from the Astros. I mean, even Kirsch threw a lot of starts, right? Just got off work. What's up, D-Mac? What's up, Luis Correa? related to Carlos Correa on that one? Hopefully not. If you do, I mean, come on now. Pages MVP possible from Kiki. We got Pages game 1 wonder, but that's it. Hey, we'll see. Let's not forget he's hit lefties all season. We got D-Mac, I need to see Pages Cadillac around the bases again. Yeah, how about Daniel Clark? I love the fact that he pimped that home run even more the second time around. The infamous El Guapo. Tomorrow it's a team effort again. There will be a plethora of dogs in the game. Boom Shakalaka, our best starters wouldn't even make the Yankees rotation. Rosa Mosa, I think it'll be decided tomorrow for MVP. Whoever between Mookie and Ohtani has a big hit in a big game will probably get it. Yeah, I think that is the right take right there, Rosa. I tend to agree with you on that one. For sure. NS J Kid 23 too. What's up, NS? What up, J Kid? I'm trying to find NS's quote down here, but I'll read J Kid. What J Kid say? My friend broke up with his girlfriend because the back of her ear smelled like cheese. Okay, but that Mookie MVP, we got Golf saying I love that Evan Phillips sweeper. Yeah, that sweeper is nasty, man. Moves more than a military family. But, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Dodgers Dugout Live After Dark. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the Dodgers Nation YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. Hit that like button. Tomorrow is the day the Dodgers could punch their ticket to the Fall Classic to face the New York Yankees. But as Kobe Bryant once said, job not finished. What's there to be happy about? Is job finished? Job finished? Nope. Job's not finished. So let's finish the job tomorrow, and let's win this pennant at Dodger Stadium for the first time in 36 years, and let's get on to the World Series. But that's going to do it for this episode, guys. My name is Doug McKain. Like I said, subscribe to the channel. Remember, nothing brings us together quite like Dodger baseball. And until next time, think blue.